Hello everyone, welcome to Computer Science and IT Gate Coaching. Don't forget to subscribe my channel and press the bell icon to get the instant notification of my free lecture. So welcome everyone. So we are going to start algorithm. Okay. So can anyone tell me anything about algorithm? What you know about algorithm? What is algorithm? What is algorithm? Anyone? Please let me know what is algorithm, what you mean by algorithm. Algorithm क्या होता है? What is algorithm? Please comment. Full course we are going to cover everything from basic. Even last 30 years questions also we are going to cover everything we are going to cover. Okay. So it is a finite. See, the main thing important is here. It is a finite sequence of. It is a finite sequence of instruction, or you can say that process. Okay, it is going to always going to take finite number of steps, or you can say that finite number of steps. It's a finite number of steps to complete a problem, to solve a problem, to solve a problem. Okay, solve a problem. So the main important thing is here, it is a finite. It is never going to be infinite. It is always going to be finite, and it is going to be a, why we are writing just two. If you want to do multiplication, so you take two number a and b, then you do the cross of that. So it is going to be finite step, that first you take a, then you take b, like that you are going to take, and you are going to write. So in this course we are going to write some of the algorithm, we are going to see searching, sorting, everything we are going to see. But this is very important because some in gate exam, even in 1 marks they have asked that it is always going to be finite. Okay, so in out of 4 statement there is one statement they have written that it is infinite. No, algorithm is always going to take a finite number of steps to solve a problem or to deal with any problem. Okay, so main intention here is that you can, for any problem you can create a, for any problem you can have a more than one, you can have a more than one algorithm, more than one algorithm. And see, this subject is very important in terms of your placement, and also in everywhere. If you are, means for CS and IT, this is very important subject, because for any algorithm you are for any problem you are going to have many algorithms. Okay, like algorithm 1, algorithm 2, algorithm 3. But in companies or in gate, they will ask you to give a algorithm which is the best algorithm for that problem, means the best algorithm suited for some algorithm. Okay, so there you are going to see which is going to take less time. How you can decide that it is a best algorithm? So depend upon your requirement. Like for some problem this algorithm will run fast. Okay, so here we are going to see like asymptotic notation that will let us know that what is going to be the time complexity of that, what is going to be the space complexity of that. Because if for a problem P1, and if your algorithm A2 is taking less time and less space, then you will choose this one, because in system you know that space is going to take more money. For space you require more money, and if it will take more time then you will not get interested. So if interaction will be more, like if you are playing some game and if you click some button and from there it's taking more time to go, so whether you will interact or whether to come back to that platform, no. So like this, now we are teaching online, if it will delay like 10-minute delay, 20-minute delay, if it will happen, then you will not come. So we want that our algorithm should work very fast, so that human interaction is going to be fast. Okay, so what we do, we try to find before deriving any algorithm. See, if for any problem, before writing the program we write some algorithm, and then we find the time complexity and we do analysis of that algorithm, whether that algorithm is good or not. Okay, so we are going to do time complexity analysis and space complexity analysis, then we go to the implementation. Because if in the beginning you do the implementation, it is going to incur cost. Okay, are you getting it? So if you are having some algorithm, don't directly implement it. First you have to do the analysis, then we are going to, out of all the algorithm that you have given for any problem, so first analysis will happen, then you will do the implementation. Am I clear why we are going to do the analysis of that? Please let me know if anyone having any doubt. So now we will start introduction to asymptotic. Richa is saying repeat, sir. See Richa, what I am here saying that for a problem you can have more than one algorithms. Okay, so for a problem you find more than one steps to solve that problem. Okay, you are having more than one solutions that in by this way you can reach, like from Kolkata I want to go to Bangalore. Okay, so there are different ways to reach Bangalore. Okay, so you have to find that which is going to incur less cost and which is going to take less time. Like this also, for any problem we are having many different solutions. That is our algorithm. So which algorithm should we choose, that we are going to do. First we are doing analysis of that, and the algorithm which is going to incur less cost as well as less time, means if it will take less time and if it will take how less cost, if it will take less space, then we are going to choose that algorithm in this way. Is it clear, Richa? So now see how to do the analysis. So we are having some asymptotic notation. See, we are not going to directly, asymptotic notation is not going to give you the exact time complexity. It is the asymptotic wise, means approx wise. Okay, so in exam they will sometimes ask exact. So whenever they ask exact, so you should give the exact time complexity, then you have to solve it. But most of the time, like 99% of times, they will ask you asymptotic time complexity. So first I am going to show you the asymptotic notation, then we are going to solve the previous year questions on asymptotic notation. So always first I will cover some topic, then previous year questions, so that you can understand. Okay, so with questions we are going to understand better. So it's introduction of asymptotic notation. Okay, so first one is BIGO notation. BIGO, that is big zero, and it is even called as upper bound. Okay, upper bound, BIGO notation. Okay, so if you are having, so let assume, let f, and you please write, let f is a function, let f is a function of n, and n is the size of the input, and n is the size of the input. Means I am assuming that a problem is there. Okay, and I am assuming that for that problem we are having a function f is a function of n, and n is the size of the input. Fn is the actual, see this is the actual, I have told you now, here we are not going to find the exact. So this is the Fn is the actual time complexity, means the time complexity means the time taken by that algorithm. Okay, is the actual time complexity, is the time complexity of program, and it is necessary. So if n is the actual time complexity of a program, and it is necessary as we, and it is increasing, and it is increasing, and it is increasing as we increase the input, as we increase the input, so it will increase. Okay, so please write it down. When you are done with the writing, then please let me know. So this I am assuming that for a program, f is a function, let f is a function of n, okay, of n, then n is the size of the input. N is the size, means if for a program you are asking some input, okay, like it's the size of the input. So Fn is the actual time complexity of a program, and it is increasing as we increase the input, and it is increasing as we increasing the input. Okay, so rate of growth. So what is rate of growth? The rate at which the running time, running time increases as a function of input, is called is called rate of growth. It's called rate of growth. Okay. So what is rate of growth? A rate at which the running time increases as a function of input. So for a program, if you have given some function, and when you are giving like this is a rate of growth, okay, that we will draw in the next slide, but just to make you understand. So with the input, here the input is this, here the time is this. So your function is increasing like that, fn. So this is rate of growth. So here time increases, here size, n is the size. So this is the rate of growth. Okay, it's very important because we are going to do analysis of rate of growth of the function. So the rate at which the running time increases, this is the running time increases as the function of input. It's a function of input, fnc, n is the size of the input, is called the rate of growth. Okay. So first we have to find the fn. Fn is the actual time complexity of a program. So we have find out the fn. Now our main work is to find the big O, means the upper bound. So right after finding out, we will even take the problems. With problems it will be more clear. Okay. After finding out fn, if we can bound that function, okay, it's bound means you have to restrict, bound that function by some other function, by some other function that is c gn. Gn is the function, c is the constant. Okay, in such a way that after some input n0, after some input n0, the value of cgn is always greater than fn. Okay, so c is greater than equal to 1, and so what I am saying, after finding fn, so fn you have find out that for a program it is the actual time complexity. Now if you can bound that function, okay, bound that function like fn is going to be smaller than equal to cgn. Okay, this is another function. Can bound that function by some other function gn, c is a constant, in such a way that after some input n0, so after some input, so here n is greater than equal to n0 and n0 is greater than equal to 1, the value of cgn is always greater than fn. So after some input, so when the input size reached n0 and you take any value greater than n0, so always fn, that cgn is going to be greater than fn. Okay. Now let me draw the diagram. I think it is done. You are done with the writing. So what I mean that, see here, it is the rate of the growth. Okay, here is the size of the input, here is the time t. Okay, so your function is increasing like this, actual function. First increase, then decrease, then it is increasing like this. So this is your fn. Okay, now there is one function. Previously it was smaller. Now after that input, that is called as n0, it is always now greater than fn. So it is c, this function is cgn. Okay, that I am saying that after some input n0, the value of cgn is always greater than fn. So this is called as, this is big O. Okay, am I clear? Now we are having a mathematical representation of that. Can I go to the next slide? Are you done with the writing? देख लिए आप लोग? Can I go to the next slide? Fine, I am going. Okay. So mathematically you can say that Fn is smaller than equal to Cgn. Fn is smaller than equal to Cgn. Okay, Fn is always smaller than equal to Cgn. N is greater than equal to N naught. N naught is greater than equal to 1, and C is any constant. It's any constant, and its value is greater than equal to 1. So if this condition apply, then we can say that Fn is big O of Gn. Fn is big O of Gn. Okay, Fn is big O of Gn. So please write it fast. When you are done with the writing, then please let me know. Now I will take the example. Okay, it's a very important topic. So in last 30 years, 22 questions have asked from asymptotic notation. Okay, if you are done with the writing, then please let me know. N equal to 3n plus 2, Gn equal to n. Okay, so Fn is 3n plus 2 and Gn is n. So the question they are asking, can we say Fn is equal to big O of Gn? So can we say that Fn is big O of Gn? When we can say that Fn is big O of Gn? To say that, so see, this is the first problem, so I am writing. Okay, so to say that, since this is a first problem, I am writing all these things. From next problem onward, I will not write. Okay, so to say that Fn is big O of Gn, we have to find out. Please write, we have to find out two things. Okay, so we have to find out two things. One constant, that is C, and N0. And why I am saying that N0 is always going to greater than equal to 1? Because inputs are never going to be smaller than 1. Input always increased from greater. So input, since it's a input value will never be negative. Okay, input is going to always be positive. Okay, you have given 1 input, 2 input, 3 input, like that. Okay, it's not like the value of the input, it's the number of input. Okay, so if Fn is equal to big O of Gn, this I am saying big O, okay, then Fn should be smaller than equal to Cgn, n naught greater than equal to 1, n should be greater than equal to n naught, and C should be greater than equal to 1. Okay, so now in place of Fn, I will write what is Fn. Fn is 3n plus 2, and C, Gn is your n. Now in place of C, what we can put, so that if we will take any value of n, means some after some value of n, it is going to be greater. So I am assuming C as 4. Okay, so by looking, so means just by seeing this, so by looking this, C equal to 4, anything greater than 3, you can write anything greater than 3, we can take C as anything greater than 3. Okay, so I am taking 3n plus 2 smaller than equal to 4n. So I have taken this. Now I am trying to find the value of n naught. So 2 is here, is smaller than 4n minus 3n, so it's going to n. So when n value is greater than equal to 2 and when c is 4, your function fn is always going to be smaller than equal to cgn. Okay. So please write. So for every n greater than equal to 2 at c equal to 4, fn is less than cgn. So you can take an example and also you can see 3n plus 2 was there and we got as 4n. Okay, and I am saying that n naught is equal to, so this means n naught is equal to 2. Okay, so when I am taking n can be any value greater than n naught, when I am taking n equal to 2, you will get here 4. Okay, so 4 to 8, here 6 to 8, yeah, it's smaller than equal to, yeah, it's equal, fine, it's equal now. Now n equal to 3, it's 12, it's 3, 9, 10, 11, it's 11, see, it's smaller. Now I am take n equal to 4, because n can be any value greater than equal to n naught. N naught is 2, so 2, 3, 4, now 4, then it's 16, so 3 into 4 is 12, 12 plus 2 is, tell me, 14. See, so if you take any number now, fn is always going to be smaller than your cgn. Am I clear? So that's why fn is big O of gn. Please let me know whether it is clear or not. Please let me know whether it is clear or not. So if n is bounding 3n plus 2, then definitely n square will set. So if n is bounding, means if 3n plus 2 is smaller than cn, then can I say that it is even smaller than cn square? Can I say that it is even smaller than cn cubed? It is even smaller than cn power 4. So if n is bounding by 3n plus 2, then definitely n square will satisfy, n cube will satisfy, 2 to the power n will satisfy. So now any number greater than n will also say that it is the bounding. It is bounding. Okay. Am I clear? Please let me know whether it is clear or not. So n square will satisfy. Okay. So therefore gn can be any value. So gn can be any value, n square or n cubed or 2 to the power n or anything you can take. Okay. So but in GATE exam you have to give the tightest upper bound. Tightest means the least value which is going to be the upper bound. The bound n square is the least of that. Okay. So that is even called as tightest upper bound. So in GATE exam you should give the answer of that. It is also going, if in exam they have given that 3n plus 2 and it will say it is big O of n square. It will say that it is big O of n cube. Yeah, both answer is correct. Okay, but if in exam they will ask you 3n plus 2, what is going to be the big O of that? Then you should give this one. We will see the problems. With problems it will be clear. Okay. So this is called as tightest upper bound. This is called as tightest upper bound. Let me write that. So it is also correct. It is also correct. It is called as tightest bound. It is called as tightest bound or least upper bound or least upper bound. Okay. So you write. So all these things, whatever I am going to explain, I will also give you as a note. Okay. So you write. So all these function n square, n cube, okay, 2 to the power n will definitely will definitely bound 3n plus 2. It is definitely going to bound this, but we have to keep in mind that, please write it fast, that always big O is upper bound, but we always go for least upper bound. We always go for least upper bound or tightest bound. And here the tightest bound is n. Here the tightest bound is, so this is big O, and big O is completed. If anyone having any doubt, then please let me know. Now I will go to small o. Okay, we are going to small o. Okay, and GATE exam they are using small o also. Okay, so there is only one difference between big O and small o. In small o means Fn is, you can say that Fn is small o Gn. When you can say that, when Fn is smaller than, it's not equal Cgn, when there is no equal, is always going to be greater, not equal, you are not going to get equal, then it is small. So for n greater than equal to n naught is going to greater than equal to 1, and C is going to any value greater than equal to, that's all. Is it clear? Clear? Please let me know if it is clear or not. Now I am good. Now I will go to omega. So big O we are going to use for finding the worst case time complexity. So in worst case, what is going to be the time complexity of that function? Okay. So the maximum time complexity that it is going to take, that big O is going to give. Now we are going to find omega. So omega is even called as lower bound. That was called as upper bound, it is called as lower bound. Okay. So you write, let us say the actual, same way, please write it fast. Let us say the actual time complexity of an algorithm is function of n. Please write it fast. Okay, so of an algorithm is a function of n, that is fn, and it is increasing as shown below. So I will now show that. So let us say the actual time complexity of an algorithm is a function of n, that is fn, and it is increasing as shown below, that I am going to show in the below. So you can please take this screenshot. Okay, so you can later write it down, okay, after the class. So how the function is growing? This way, here is the input size, that is n, and here is the time, okay. So this is called as rate of growth. So your function is growing like this. So this is your fn. Okay, fn is increasing. Now if you are able to give some function gn such that if you take cgn, then it is going to lower bound. So I am taking some function like it is going like this, then it is going increasing, then it's going down, then after that it is always going to be down, cg. And see, after that input cgn is always going to be smaller. So that input, that value is called as n naught. Okay, So now you can say that Fn is omega of Gn. So Fn is greater than Gn. Is it done? Please let me know. If we give, so please write whatever I have explained now, please write. If we give a lower bound, Cgn, if we give a lower bound Cgn to Fn in such a way that Cgn is less than Fn after some value of n which is n naught, after some value of n which is n naught. So mathematically how you can represent this? So Fn is greater than equal to Cgn for n greater than equal to n naught. N naught is always going to greater than equal to 1 and C is always going to greater than equal to 1. Is it clear? If you are done with the writing, then please let me know. I will take one example. So write example. Fn is equal to 3n plus 2. Fn is this, Gn is n. Now the question is, can Fn is omega of Gn? So when you can say that Fn is omega of Gn, so to satisfy this, if Fn is omega of Gn is valid, if it is valid, then Fn should be greater than equal to Cgn. So Fn is 3n plus 2. You take some constant C and n. Now if you will take C equal to 1, for C equal to 1, n naught equal to 1, okay, or n naught some value greater than equal to 1, n is going to be greater than equal to n naught is always going to true, So see, in the previous one I have taken C as 4, that's why it's become big O. Now I am taking C as 1, means it's always going to be 3n plus 2 greater than equal to n. For any value of n, now it's going to be greater. For n greater than equal to 1, now it will satisfy. So you have to choose some constant C. So here if you take C as 1, this is going to be true. So that's why you can say that, we can say that Fn is omega of Gn. You can say that Fn is omega of Gn. Now example 2. Hope it is clear to everyone. Fn is 3n plus 2 and Gn is n square. Now I am asking you, can we say that Fn is omega of Gn? Now here I am saying that, can we say that? So to satisfy this, 3n plus 2 should be greater than equal to C n square. So C is always going to be some value. Now if you take any value of C, you will never able to satisfy. Okay, because I am saying for bigger value. Yeah, for omega it is not possible. Is it clear? So we can't find such C for this condition. So 3n plus 2 can never be, please write it first, can never be the lower bound can never be lower bound by n square. So it's never going to be lower bound by n square. So it's never going to be lower bound by n square. If you're done with the writing, then please let me know, or you can take the screenshot. Okay, here it's n square. Okay, it's n square. Now similarly, if we find out, we found out, we find out, if we find out that Fn is equal to omega n, then anything, similarly, then anything, it is also important, then anything less than n can be answer, can be also the omega. Means I am saying that 3n plus 2 is greater than n, then anything smaller than n is also going to be smaller than 3n plus 2, like log n, log of log n, log of log n. Okay, so this is also going, so you can say that 3n plus 2 is going to be omega of log n. Yeah, this is also true because the condition is satisfied. So it means, so please write, it means that if Fn is lower bound by, if Fn is lower bound by n, then that I have written, then anything less than n can also be omega. So it means that if n is lower bounded by n, then anything less than, so we can go for, so that also, that I have written already in the previous slide. We can, so we can go for log n or log of log n. So right, so this is very important, this is very important. There can be always more than one answer for big O and big omega, but then it it is better that, we take the closest bound, or the tightest bound, or the tightest. So if you're done with the writing, then please let me know. So similarly, we have seen big omega, then we are also having small omega. We are also having small omega. So same way you can write Fn is small omega Gn, then Fn should be greater than only Cgn. It should not be equal. So for all values, C is greater than equal, for any value C is greater than equal to 1. C is any constant, C is a constant, it is not going to change. N is greater than equal to n naught, and n naught is greater than equal to 1. Okay. If you are done with the writing, then please let me know. If you're done with the writing, then please let me know.